Have you ever wondered what it is that makes a story unforgettable? What's the secret code that grabs you by the collar and just refuses to let go? Well, today we're going to deconstruct the blueprint behind pretty much every great story ever told.
I mean, really think about it. Why do we lean in closer when a character's perfect life suddenly starts to crumble? Or when a single secret is revealed that changes everything? You know that feeling. It's this powerful universal formula at work, whether you're watching a blockbuster or a binge-worthy TV show.
And the first person to ever really crack that code, to systematically break it down, was the Greek philosopher Aristotle, more than 2,000 years ago. So let's start where he did, with the anatomy of a tragedy.
Now, Aristotle wasn't just philosophizing in a vacuum. In his book, The Poetics, he was doing something incredibly practical. He was taking apart the most popular plays of his day to figure out, piece by piece, what made them so powerful. He was basically writing the first ever instruction manual for how to engineer a story that delivers maximum emotional impact.
Okay, so this is his famous definition, and it sounds a little academic, I know, but let's unpack it. Imitation of a serious action just means that a story is all about what people do. It's about action. And the whole point, the end goal, is to take the audience on an emotional journey, one that builds up pity and fear, only to achieve a purification, what we now call catharsis, that big, satisfying release of emotion.
So how does a storyteller actually pull that off? How do you get that emotional release? Well, Aristotle said there are 6 essential ingredients that every single tragedy needs to have.
Here they are: plot, character, diction, thought, spectacle, and song. Everything from the words the characters say to the music in the background. But, and this is a huge but, Aristotle was adamant that these parts are not equal. He argued that one of them was, by far, the most important of all.
And this brings us to the most radical and, honestly, the most counterintuitive part of his entire theory. This is the absolute core of what we're talking about today.
Get ready for this, because it's a bombshell. Plot is more important than character. I know. Today we are obsessed with character-driven stories. We talk about our favorite heroes and villains all the time. But for Aristotle, what happens in the story is way more fundamental than who it happens to.
The way he explained it is just fascinating. He said, sure, our character is about our qualities. It's who we are. But our happiness or our misery, that comes from our actions. It's the events of the plot that actually determine our fate.
And that leads to this powerful quote right here. The plot isn't just some container you pour characters into. No, the plot is the story's life force. It's the soul. He believed you could have a tragedy with weak characters, but you could not have a tragedy without a strong plot.
So, what makes a plot great? Aristotle broke it down even further. He said the best plots, the ones that really get you, are powered by 3 crucial gears working together: peripeteia, anagnorisis, and pathos. These are the engines that generate that pity and fear.
Peripeteia, or reversal, is that jaw-dropping moment when the story just veers off in the complete opposite direction of where you thought it was going. The perfect example is in Oedipus Rex. A messenger shows up to bring Oedipus what should be great news, but in revealing that news, he accidentally reveals the horrifying truth that seals Oedipus's doom. That's a perfect, tragic reversal. And that reversal usually slams into you at the exact same moment as anagnorisis, or recognition. This is the oh no moment of discovery. The light bulb goes on, and a character finally understands the awful truth of their situation. For Oedipus, recognizing he killed his father and married his mother, that's the moment that completely destroys him.
So you might be thinking, okay, cool story, but that was ancient Greece. Here's the thing. These ideas were so powerful that they've been echoing through storytelling for thousands of years, all across the world.
Seriously, for centuries, from the Romans all the way through the Renaissance, Aristotle's model was the blueprint. If you were writing a serious play, you were using his rules. His Poetics was the undisputed starting point for basically all of Western theater.
And his influence pops up in places you wouldn't even expect. In Brazilian drama, for example, you can see how major playwrights from the 19th century all the way to modern writers used Aristotle's ideas as a foundation to build their own unique national stories.
But you know how it goes. Rules are made to be broken.
And eventually, storytellers started to wonder if there were other ways to tell a story.
By the 20th century, a full-on rebellion was brewing. This new generation of artists and writers started to feel, well, trapped by Aristotle's neat and tidy structure. They wanted to create something messier, more chaotic, something that felt more like the modern world.
And that led to an absolute explosion of new kinds of theater. You had Bertolt Brecht, who wanted the audience to think instead of just feel. You had Anton and Artaud, who aimed for a total sensory assault with his theater of cruelty. All of these movements were deliberately breaking Aristotle's rules, putting politics or raw feeling or philosophical ideas way ahead of a perfectly made plot.
Their goal was to escape what one source calls the well-behaved text. Forget about a story that wraps everything up nicely. They wanted to create a gut punch, a visceral, physical experience that left the audience in the Portuguese term ofegante, literally breathless.
And this brings us to the most important takeaway of all. Aristotle isn't just some dusty old philosopher. His ideas are so foundational that every storyteller since, whether they realize it or not, is having a conversation with him. You can choose to follow his rules, or you can choose to smash them to pieces. Either way, you're still responding to Aristotle. He set the terms of the entire debate. So next time you're watching a movie or binging a show, try looking at it through this Aristotelian lens. Is plot the king? Does everything hang on a shocking reversal or a stunning recognition? Or is it a rebel, a story that puts character or mood or a big idea first? Now you have the code. You can see for yourself how the story is built. Thanks for joining The Explainer.